Hello and welcome to Conversations with Esther. Tonight, the 24th of June, 2026, we're honored to have the CEO of St. John's Ambulance, Paul. Paul is a very good friend of mine. Thank you, Paul, for making time to be here. I know it's a huge sacrifice. I see you're still in the office, and I know you've jumped from a meeting into this one. We are honored to have you. Allow me to pray, then we can move to our session. Lord, we thank you for this session. Thank you for what we are going to learn, and thank you for everyone that is joining and those that will listen in later. Thank you for our speaker. Bless him in Jesus' name. Amen. So, karibu to Conversations with Esther. We have our sessions every Wednesday, 7 to 8 p.m. Allow me to make an intro of Conversations with Esther, and thank you once again for joining us. So this is who we are. Conversations with Esther Limited is an impact-driven professional consulting and training firm dedicated to transforming workplaces and individuals through meaningful conversations and practical solutions in mental health, human resources, legal compliance, and employee well-being. Now, we empower organizations and professionals to embrace ethical and authentic leadership while fostering healthy workplace cultures built on respect, accountability, and excellence. Through our tailored corporate training programs, motivational speaking engagements, end-to-end human resource consultancy services, legal awareness initiatives, and career mentorship programs, we equip individuals and organizations with the knowledge, skills, and strategies needed to thrive in today's dynamic work environment. At Conversations with Esther, we believe that sustainable organizational success is achieved when people are supported holistically and leaders act intentionally. Now, guided by our core values of integrity, excellence, and impact, we are committed to driving positive change, strengthening professional relationships, and promoting best practice across industries. Our vision is to create workplaces transformed by professional conversations, respectable relationships, and intentional leadership. Our services are corporate training and capacity building, human resource consultancy, employee well-being and mental health programs, legal awareness and workplace compliance training, motivational speaking and leadership development, career coaching, and mentorship programs. At Conversations with Esther, we inspire conversations that transform people, workplaces, and organizations for lasting impact. Allow me to bring this to your attention. That we have an upcoming training next week. This is a training you cannot afford to miss. If you haven't registered, don't be left out. We still have slots open. Rush and register. Labor laws in Kenya. Labor laws in Kenya. And I want us to go through this. Look at our panel of guests. Look at that. We have Honorable Mr. Justice Nzioki Wamakau. Honorable Justice Nzioki Wamakau sits in the Employment and Labor Relations Court. You do not want to miss. We have Honorable Lady Justice Jacqueline Kamau, who will be handling the alternative dispute resolution very, very well. Also, we have our very own Executive Director, IHRM, CHRPK Kuresha Ahmed, and I'll be speaking on mental health. Navigating employment and labor relations in Kenya. That is the 2nd and 3rd of July 2026 at the Chaka Hotel, Machakos. The charges are 40,000 only. We have the pay bill details. We'll send this on the chat as we go on, but this is a very, very crucial training. And this is not just presentations. This is an intense training where you get to ask questions. And we are asking, why is navigating employment and labor relations in Kenya training a strategic leadership imperative? Now, great organizations are built not only on strong business strategies, but also on sound people practices. As regulatory expectations continue to evolve and employee expectations shift, organizations that proactively strengthen their labor relations practices are better positioned to minimize legal exposure, enhance employee engagement, protect their employer brand, and build sustainable, high-performing workplaces. The key areas of discussion, and this is majorly just like giving you our program for the 2 days, we will be focusing on employment law complaints and employer responsibilities, managing workplace disputes and grievances, grievance handling mechanisms, how to handle that, fair disciplinary processes, and lawful termination practices, the impact of recent court rulings on business operations and employer obligations, alternative dispute resolution, employment contracts, workplace policies and risk management strategies, employee mental well-being, and emerging workplace trends. We will have ample time to look at case studies and practical workplace scenarios. We will also be looking at workplace culture, leadership accountability, and the legal implications of management decisions. I have seen a lot of questions, a lot in the HR groups. I saw someone asking, the boss does not allow people to go and rest. Those are decisions, they have legal implications, decisions that management makes. So we are asking you, whether you're a CEO, a business owner, HR professional, whether you're a manager, supervisor, employee representative, or organizational leader, this training will provide valuable knowledge and practical tools to help you navigate workplace challenges with confidence and legal compliance. I'll be sharing the poster and the link in the chat as we go on. So we go to our session for tonight. We are honored, once again, I say this, to have Paul Ngugi, the CEO, St. John Ambulance Kenya, and the chair of Nairobi INGO HR Roundtable with us. Thank you, Paul. We are talking about career repositioning in the NGO space. The changing global funding landscape has significantly impacted the NGO sector, leading to funding cuts, organizational restructuring, and the loss of thousands of jobs across the world. For many professionals, the key question is no longer what happened, but rather what next. Today, we explore how NGO professionals can reposition themselves in the changing job market, identifying transferable skills that are valuable across sectors, transitioning from the NGO sector to private sector opportunities, emerging career opportunities and future workplace trends, building resilience, adaptability, and a competitive professional brand, practical strategies for navigating career uncertainty and change. Whether you are currently employed in the NGO sector, have been affected by recent funding challenges, or are seeking to future-proof your career, this session will provide practical insights and actionable strategies to help you move forward with confidence. Your next career opportunity may require a new perspective, a new strategy, and a renewed approach. Once again, we have the best in the room. Paul Ngugi, Chair, INGO HR Roundtable Nairobi, and the CEO, St. John's Ambulance Kenya. Karibu sana, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Esther, I hope you can hear me. I just want to test the mic.
Very well. Very, very well.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend Esther Tiba, for inviting me to engage with this wonderful audience. June is always a very special month to me, for many reasons, because it's also my birthday in terms of the month. And I think quite a number of favors coming to me, especially on many things. And look at now, we have these conversations about how do you reposition yourself. And sometimes I look at my life in how I've been able to move to different sectors. Over time, I've been able to work in the banking sector. I've worked in research sector. I've worked in education. I've been in the governance sector, environmental sustainability and climate change. And now I look at myself now in the health sector, emergency response. And that's all about reposition myself. In case you look at my background, I've done human resources. I'm a certified professional mediator. But besides, also I've done quite a number of skills on collaboration, partnerships, and project management, program management. And I've always taken a keen interest on other things like data and also monitoring evaluation. Why I'm saying this is because the future actually came early. I think what happened, especially with COVID-19, was to bring the future closer. And who knew at some point that we'll actually have something which is called the hybrid model to work from home. And actually that changed later to working from anywhere. And any space is a working space. You can't say that you're not able to deliver because you are not in the office. So things quite changed. And definitely just a couple of months ago, and I think in particular sometimes last year, there was an executive order which was signed when America changed its leadership at the top. And with the stroke of a pen, things changed completely. And what looked normal for many years, what looked like, anytime that you don't have funding, you can just do a proposal and the money will stream in. Things completely changed overnight, almost overnight. And definitely, many people are devastated, still devastated. So today, I just want to engage us on that, the fact there's a flick of hope, there's a beam of hope. We can actually bounce back with radiance. I'm happy quite a number of my colleagues in the NGO sector, because I've worked in the non-profit making organization longer actually than the profit making organization. I just want to give you the hope that it's all possible. Things are changing just in different way. And that's why our conversations today is about how do you reposition your career, especially in the NGO sector. And already I know those conversations are happening, and in particular from the recruiter perspective. So today we want to really navigate or transition and advance our careers in the NGO, the international NGO, and also the development organizations, because those could be different spaces, either locally, because also there are the opportunity for people to start NGOs within their local realms, but also at the international space. But remember also there's the development space, which is actually there. And the buzzwords are changing at the moment. They will be hearing terms like sustainability, partnerships, words perhaps which were not there. You would know if you're working in the NGO sector, money will just stream in. But in case, for instance, I was looking at our annual parade on Sunday, where we had around 8,000 volunteers just across the country. Our theme was about partnership and sustainability. So how can you sustain yourself beyond this year to many years to come? What do you need to do differently? And that also speaks to about our skills and expertise. What do you need to do differently? Just next slide, please. So this particular session will be looking at how do we understand the NGO job market. We'll also be looking at how to identify the recruiter expectations because things are completely changed. How do you develop a career roadmap? Because it's no longer a situation whereby you wait for things to happen, but for you actually to take charge of your career and to differentiate between noise and signal. Sometimes the world can be too noisy, but you need to look at those particular signals when things are changing. It's no longer about comfort. Indeed, when you find yourself in too much comfort in terms of your career and position, then there's a problem because change is constant. We also want to look at how do we position ourselves and use of certain strategies. So we look at those particular cornerstones. How do you understand the job market in the NGO sector? How do we identify recruiter expectations? And how do we learn how to position ourselves in a more strategic way? And finally, how can we intentionally develop a career roadmap? So let's first of all look at the NGO sector and who are the players? Who really actually are the players? Maybe we can have actually have some people maybe chatting put your answers on the chat box. Who do you think actually are the players? I know we have the slide there, but there could be some people that you think actually they could be players. Who are the players in the NGO sector landscape? Who are the players? And I know sometimes it's always like people keep on asking, what is this really NGO? Who are the players? Do we have some people actually who do these particular games behind the scenes? Where are these particular conversations happening? If they could be anybody, I don't know whether they could be anybody who's on the, I want to see whether there are any comments on the chat box. Maybe as we are waiting, when you look at the NGO sector, yes, I can see from NOBAT we have government through collaborations. Absolutely true. And that's how things are moving. The government is looking for implementing partners. Sometimes the government may have the resources, they may have the money, but people don't look for the government as possible funders. The government, and yet the government keep on looking for implementing partners. So actually, in true, that is actually important in terms of the players. Keep chatting, please. Keep chatting. Who are the other players apart from the government? We have the international NGOs. And these international, of course, NGOs can be found globally, operating across borders. We have, for example, we've heard, of course, some of the organizations over the years, Save the Children, MSF, International Rescue Committee, World Vision, many of those particular organizations, and they actually implement large-scale humanitarian and development program with significant funding and reach. Some of them were started many years ago, 1933, 1934, many years ago. Most of them actually were started in a very small way by 2, 3, or 4 people. Some of them by just one founder. And then actually they have been spreading all over the world. Most of them were started by people actually who could see challenges, humanitarian crises around the world. They had a vision and they said we can actually start even perhaps with just a few shillings, a few dollars, a few pounds. And today we see the impact that they've been able to make around the world is huge. They may have started as just NGOs within their own countries, but now they're implementing large-scale activities and projects around the world. We have actually local and national NGOs, and these are some of them CBOs, community-related organizations addressing local needs. Some of them are quite local. They may be education. They may be looking at some of the cultural practices, perhaps which are actually not quite progressive. They may be looking at aspects like agriculture. They may be bringing women together, the youth together. They may be just be bringing communities together. Indeed, that's quite important. At the same time, and an area which is ignored are the trust and foundation. You know, there are people sometimes who keep on looking for funders, and these particular funders are just within the reach. They are the trust and foundation. Some of them are very, very silent, but when you go to certain networking events, when you ask questions, you'll be informed some of them actually are able to churn a lot of money than even sometimes the traditional funders. And these are the philanthropic bodies, such as, for instance, the Gates Foundation, the Ford Foundation. They fund development initiatives which are strategic in nature. And some of them, perhaps even, you may not even find them very loud. And some of them are actually just local and international philanthropies. They're individuals, like even in our organization, we are even funded by just individuals, not even big organizations. If you look at them sometimes on the website, you may not even find them. And yet, this is actually the places that we need to keep on looking at them. Some of them are humanitarian in nature, and the UN agencies. I think the UN has been doing a lot of work over the years in terms of solving conflicts, issues to do with governance around the world. There are also donor-funded funds, where there are time-bound programs funded, for instance, by USAID, and of course, you had the news about USAID. Among us, the European Union has been funding a lot of projects around the world. Danida, for instance, the social enterprises and hybrid organizations, which are mission-driven organizations. So they have been able to blend commercial and social gain. So you'll find a lot of entry, especially in terms of the social enterprise. And there are quite a number of the NGOs now in terms of sustainability. They're even actually generating income. That actually helps in terms of sustainability. I can see somebody who's like Henry Mwangi has actually talked about charity, like St. John's Ambulance, which is a charity. They're able to, we are very big in terms of the impact. Like, for instance, St. John's now Ambulance has around 62,000 volunteers across the country. These are actually the people now who drive volunteer work and charity work across various communities and regions around the world. So that's the NGO sector and the landscape, and these actually are the players. So as you look for jobs, you need to ask yourself, who are the players? Who are the players? Sometimes we limit ourselves only to these international NGOs, and yet they could be trust and foundations. Some of them could be local. They could even doing so much. For instance, look at even what M-Pesa Foundation is doing around the world. Thank you. Next slide, please. And as actually I'm continue, feel free to put some comments, put some questions. I'll be able to pick them as I continue with this particular presentation so that we can actually engage. The next question that we may want to ask ourselves is that why NGOs career attract professionals? Why sometimes you find that people want to work for the NGOs and there are people who don't want to work anywhere else? There are people who keep on chasing NGOs. I know colleagues who have worked from the profit-making sector. They have worked from working for the government, and they have decided to come and work for the NGOs in terms of bettering their careers. Some of them actually have decided to work within the NGO sector for the rest of their life. Some of them actually even started as volunteers. They have started from internship, and later on they have made a transition to the NGO. So what are the reasons actually which drive them to this particular sector? One is actually in terms of the impact. You see impact every day. The NGO professionals drive real measurable gaps. You're able to talk about the change. Sometimes I look at, for instance, the people, for instance, we've been able to train them and around the world to save lives and serve humanities. When I hear the word about saving life, and for instance, in our organization, one of the things that we look for is that we want to train at least one first aider, a first aider in every household across the country. I think sometimes about how we will be able to save lives. In case there's an emergency in the home, there's a disaster in that particular community, a life will be saved. and we'll be able to save so many people. When you do blood drives, for instance, and you're able to save lives, that's impact to the community. It's about saving the lives. In case it's a road accident and we have an emergency responder going there. In case we are talking about matters to do with maternal health, and you've been able to ensure that there's safe motherhood around the country, you'll be able to save maybe a certain number of mothers, maybe from dying and children. That's impact to the society, because that particular soul is the one who will become a leader. That particular soul is the one actually is going to make a difference in the world. We could be talking about a discovery. So that is actually one of the things actually which make people sometimes to go and work for that NGO. And actually, indeed, it makes actually the NGO careers to be very, very attractive to professionals, because it's about the impact. It's about the difference actually that you're making. And that particular difference also actually has a measurable change in the communities. Every role contributes directly to the social progress and also humanitarian relief around the world. Whether it's about maybe saving people from hunger, ensuring that every girl and boy goes to school, so because education is an equalizer, that impacts contributes a very big role to the world. Secondly, you're looking at continuous learning. The dynamic nature of the development work demands consistent adaptation. You keep adapting, you keep learning. Resilience actually is a master class when you work within the NGO world. You develop such master resilience that actually anything is like, throw anything to me, whether it's crisis management. Sometimes I look at some of the tough environment that I've been able to work. And whenever there's actually a crisis management, and when people are panicking, it's like, just bring it to me. So, and that's actually a life skill. It's very, very important to have some of this particular life skill. So there's actually continuous learning. So the NGO professionals benefit from ongoing training. And when you join actually the organization, there's so much training actually that you go through, whether it's online, whether it's international programs, you are exposed even globally and regionally. You get the best and you're able to handle situations, whether you're talking about project management, monitoring and evaluation, whether the issues about procurement, issues about human resource management, you get the best systems, you get the best policies. Like in the NGO sector, for instance, where I lead as a chair, people actually exchange information, exchange policies, exchange processes. You're able to get this one, especially in such kind of a community when you join, because of the continuous learning. And that's where the professionals within the NGO sector keep on learning all the time. We have, for instance, within the NGO sector, every quarter, we always actually come up with a sector, with a speaker to discuss about not only actually HR issues, but things which actually are cross-cutting. That's actually free information, free education. When you look at, for instance, the regional exposure, working across countries and regions builds a rich professional portfolio. So the NGOs actually career offer unparalleled opportunities to operate in diverse cultures. So you could be Nairobi, but managing a number of countries in Africa and around the world. That gives you an opportunity to travel to different countries, across cultures, and that exposure actually is priceless. It's also about mission-driven work. Alignment, for instance, between personal values, your own values, let's say, for instance, of integrity and organization purpose, and creating deep, deep, deep professional fulfillment. It gives deep, deep fulfillment. Every day is a day actually you can sleep better because you feel that actually you have been able to channel the best. You've been able to save a soul. You've been able to ensure that lives have been improvement. You've been ensure that this quality of life of the people actually that you're working for. And also in terms of leadership, it's real-time leadership. You lead projects. NGOs often after accelerate pathways to leadership. There's a lot of training and exposure to leadership. And therefore, professionals take a strategic responsibility. Sometimes right from internship, you're given a lot, including managing teams, managing budgets practically, and even actually managing key stakeholders across governments, the private sector. Sometimes it could be institutional. You could go to places that you could only dream about. So these are some of the reasons actually NGOs careers attract professionals. Thank you. Next slide, please. So I just want also to focus on the current hiring trends in the NGOs, because I know the trends are trending. I don't know whether Esther will be able to put it on the presentation mode so that it's a little bit large. If you can, that will be good for me. If not, that's fine. Keep chatting. That's good. There's some part which has been, thank you. Good. I think that's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, what are the current hiring trends in the NGO? What do you need to look at when the recruiters in the NGO sector are recruiting? What are they looking at? So the kind of current hiring trends in the NGO sector, and us in the NGO sector, what we concentrate on is, first of all, skill-based recruitment. So NGOs actually are shifting from credential-focused hiring to competency-based selections. So you need to demonstrate skills, practical experiences, and measurable results, which outweigh academic qualifications alone. So you may have come with your PhD, with your master's, with several degrees and even diplomas. We want to look at how practical you are. So some of the questions we'll be looking at are situational. We'll be looking at whether you are able to solve problems. We'll be giving scenarios to look at whether you actually can challenge you to sort out even crises, because we also operate in fragile environment. The questions are not textbook. They'll actually be expected for you to think in very, very practical way. So as you prepare to reposition yourself, you need to ask yourself, in as much as you may have the academic qualifications, which is quite also important because they also expose you, but to what extent are you practical? What skills are you bringing on the table in case those questions come in? Because the questions actually are scenario-based. We look at digital competencies, proficiency in data tools. Some of the questions that we ask about more the trends, about analytics. We don't look at a situation from an emotional perspective. So you don't come to the boardroom and you say, I feel. It's about where is the data? What is that particular data telling you about? So scenarios will come about proficiency in data tools, remote collaborations. How can you actually work away out of your comfort places, for instance, like working in the office? Can you work across, for instance, cultures, different cultures? What is your knowledge about partnership and stakeholder management? Can you do more than one role? You may be doing data, but can you do even project management? Nowadays, actually, people are actually hired. The people who are hired are the people actually can do even more than 2 jobs. So that it's not a concentration on one particular role. You can't say, I'm a human resource expert, and therefore I cannot learn program management. I cannot fundraise. I cannot go for meetings and talk about our products and services. I cannot go somewhere and use actually AI in terms of generating data. That's very, very important. We always ensure that wherever you enter into a room, you can actually engage with the partners. So the ability to build, sustain relationship with donors, governments, and also community stakeholders is very important. Do you have a social license to engage with the communities? When you go for particular meetings, do you just say, I'm a finance manager? Sometimes those people don't even want to know. They want to know that you are the representative of that organization. So are you knowledgeable? Do you know even what that organization does? And therefore, in terms of reposition yourself within the NGO sector, you need to also ensure that also you know more than your role. You need to know more than one skill that you know. Keep on learning as many things as possible so that in case opportunities shift, you're able to shift quickly. And in most cases, when the paradigm shift, everything goes back to zero. Are you able to shift with the paradigms? Safeguarding requirements. Some times ago, whenever we used to think about issues to do with working with the vulnerable people, children, members sometimes who are seen to be weaker in the society, NGOs' roles now require demonstrated understanding of safeguarding policies. When you're working with beneficiaries, for instance, in case, for instance, it's about elevation of hunger, It's about maternal health. It's about maybe humanitarian crisis. Are you exploiting the people, the beneficiaries? A couple of years ago, all the NGOs developed policies to protect the vulnerable members of the society, including children, from harm. So the understanding of this and the questions which will be coming is that, and in case you'll be looking at the background check, they always want to know whether you have been involved in any cases of harassment, in any cases of harm against the vulnerable people. How do you treat people? Do you treat people decently? Some of the scenarios actually which come is about safeguarding. Monitoring and evaluation. How do you look at the metrics? Metrics are so important in any profession within the NGO sector. Whether you're looking at budgets, whether you're looking at programs, the issue about metrics will be quite important. Grants and project management. Can you manage a program? Can you manage a project? Do you have the knowledge? And it's not about a situation whereby they will say that I only work in procurement. That procurement business also work with other members of the society. To what extent do you show knowledge of managing grants? To what extent do you show the knowledge of managing budgets? At some point, the world used to know that if you want to think about budgets, maybe it's only actually finance people who know about it. As you reposition yourself in the NGO sector, those are some of the current hiring trends that we look for. It's about skill-based, it's about competency-based. And most in terms of, the next slide, please. Most in-demand functions in the NGO sector. Increasingly, what I see, where I sit, when I look at the jobs which are advertised, and there are many jobs when I look at some of the job boards that are advertised, I see a lot of roles in program management. So if you are positioning yourself, you need to start thinking about program management, project management, and sometimes irrespective of whether you are in finance, in procurement, in communication, it's very, very important even to do courses in project management. I have done project management courses, and in preparation for any kind of a job which comes, for instance, even in project management. Sometimes I always say, in case, for instance, I'm appointed as a program director, I should be able to do that particular job. So over the years, people position themselves so that they can actually do some of these particular jobs. Some of the ones are in procurement. In projects, there's a lot of procurement for certain things, because projects require certain activities. They require certain equipment. So the procurement, even where I work, actually, we have quite a number of people actually who look at after our procurement. Looking at human resources, many years ago, it never used it to be as strategic as it is. In some cases, in the NGO sector, every particular project needs actually to have a human resource assistant, human resource officer, among others. You'll never go wrong, especially in case you do a human resource degree or qualifications, because all the enterprises will need, all the NGOs will need at least somebody who will be driving their human resources. There are also the other area which actually is expanding is on human monitoring and evaluation. When you're speaking to the donors, you're speaking to your funders, you need to speak the language of numbers. You need to speak the language of trend analysis. You need to speak the number of trends. They'll ask you questions, for instance, about if you are able to train, what's the impact of this training to the community? So you need to speak about the impact. And the more you have this particular knowledge, the more you're able to move across different organizations. In terms of the repositioning, finance will always remain key. Communication, there's need to communicate to the funders, the communities, to government agencies, to the internal key stakeholders. We have moved, of course, to the world of social media. You need to post as much as possible. And there are metrics also about actually what to post there. In case you see some of the accounts, even some of the individuals, people, they're managed by social media managers and officers. That's all about communication. Next slide, please. So what recruiters look for? What do recruiters look for? Recruiters prioritize candidates who demonstrate measurable impact, not just job description. So it's not about that particular role profile or the job description, which has been submitted or distributed across maybe the social media. They want to look at your impact. And therefore, you need to go beyond what you have just done in terms of your career. Some of the questions actually sometimes are about what have you done to the society? Have you ever gone back to your school even to do mentoring? Have you ever gone back to your community to do anything? Have you ever gone even to plant trees? Do you even volunteer in a board anywhere? Those could be actually the age which actually can actually position you better. So, and the other ones could be results orientation. You need to show what you have achieved in terms of even of the numbers. It's not all about the stories. In terms of the numbers, what have you achieved? What have you delivered? Is it even actually measurable? Leadership, evidence of leading teams or driving change. And one of the things that you could do, don't wait always for an opportunity to come for you to lead. Wait for projects and tasks within the organization and volunteer. Sometimes bring your seat to the table and say, I'm here, I can make a contribution by leading because of the unique expertise that I have. In the NGO sector, actually, even in the teams that I lead, I look at the people who actually volunteer more in leading even small things. You are likely to jump out and to be known and to be visible in case you volunteer in those particular tasks. You prepare yourself for the next big thing. Integrity is a currency, special currency, special currency. Ethical conduct and accountability at all levels. The other one, which is quite important, stakeholders look for, is whether you can get to a room and manage conversations with multiple stakeholders. Can you manage conversation with strangers? Are you the kind of a person that you only can speak to familiar faces? Can you go to rooms and actually you can turn with your energy by managing key stakeholders? Are you visible? Are you the kind of a person who says that silence is an option? I don't want to talk. I don't want to give my voices. I always tell people that silence is not a sign of humility. Indeed, it's a sign actually of a missed opportunity. So can you manage stakeholders? The NGO sector, it needs people. As you reposition yourself, as you look for jobs within the NGO sector, begin working very closely with different stakeholders, sometimes even the people that you don't like. They may provide you some information and knowledge and say insights that actually which can actually change your world. Your value alignment. So genuine commitment to the vision is very, very important. And this would be like, for instance, quarterly. Do you ask yourself about your personal values? Do you have personal conferences with yourself about your values? Are you very conscious about the networking, the groups that you work with, and the kind of spirits and values that they drive to you? And that's why it is very important as you do your post even on social media to ask yourself, do what I want to post necessary? Is it relevant? Is it aligned to my values? Will it annoy people? Because at the end of the day, when it comes to background check, we also do the social media scanning. And we want to ensure that whether your values align within the NGO sector, because all of them you'll find that it's about integrity, compassion, love, impact, commitment. So you need to have those personal conferences. Have accountability partners who can actually challenge you about your values and challenge you even actually to stop in practicing some of those things which are not important going forward. So those are some of the things that recruiters look for in the NGO sector. So transferable skills into NGO recruiters value from other sectors. There are certain skills that you need to transfer. Some of them are about project management. Keep on learning, keep on taking a deep dive. Look at every particular task as a project, and you learn the project management cycle. That is a transferable skills. And you realize that in any task within an organization, they'll only ask people, can you manage a project? Can you manage a task? So those are skills that you can transfer from any NGO. There is no NGO which does not have project managers, because all the tasks that we do actually are projects. Whether you're talking about introduction of the human resource management system, whether you're talking about SAGE system, it's about implementation of a project. Those are skills that actually you can transfer. So planning, coordinating, deliverable, complex, and initiatives are all part and parcel of transferable skills. Customer and stakeholder relations, can you manage it? Building and maintaining productive relations with diverse groups, diversity and inclusive. Indeed, some of the questions that you need to keep on asking is that when you go to a room, to what extent are you diverse and inclusive? Are you always just familiar? Is everybody in that particular room the same with a kind of thinking and a mindset? You need to keep on challenging yourself to bring different people in the room who actually can bring different things. And the NGO sector is about diversity and inclusivity. Before an interview starts, even that particular panel, are you just the same? The same profession, the same background, the same number of friends. That particular diversity brings something's different. Governance and accountability, experience with board structures. And that's why I'm saying find some moment to go and serve in a board, even on voluntary basis, in that primary school, in that high school, in that local CBO. Slowly, as you attend the meeting, you start building experience and the skill in terms of broad structures. So as you start repositioning yourself to go to the NGO and within the NGO, start by practicing by volunteering in some of those particular committees, wherever they are. And even in terms of policy development, there's a lot of policy development. These are some of the skills that you can actually rightly transfer as you go to different careers within the NGO sector. There's about compliance and risk management. We keep on having risk registers. From time to time, we keep on analyzing issues and asking ourselves, what's the difference between a risk and an issue? And this needs to be flagged from time to time. So the moment actually you are able to understand issues about compliance, ensuring adherence to regulations, legal, and when you go for meetings, you need to ask yourself, are we exposed legally, financially, reputation to certain risks? As we're implementing a particular project, those are some of the things that needs to keep the back of your mind. So before a project is rolled out, these are the questions that people need to have. People leadership, can you lead people? You may have the most brilliant ideas, but can you even lead actually even yourself? Because if you can't lead yourself, then you can't even lead another person. So leading and motivating and developing diverse teams across cultures is very, very important. And that's why you need to keep on being culturally fluent, culturally intelligent. There's emotional intelligence, but it's also cultural intelligence. Can you work with people across different cultures, not even within your cultural national context, but even just around the world? Because as you come, you'll be expected to work across different countries, different communities. So if you are the kind of a person who keeps on making very sensitive and information about tribes, about countries, about races, it will be very difficult for you to work within the NGO sector. We consider people to be global citizens when they come in. So you need to be absolutely very sensitive and culturally intelligent. Next slide, please. I need to run because I know it's... So building a competitive CV, I think you need to tailor every application, every job that you apply for, it needs to be tailored. And in case you have a problem, please approach a coach. Approach Esther Katiba. He'll help you to position it. When you apply for different jobs, don't just use the same CV. They need to be tailored for that particular job. So you need to read that particular job description and the role profile. You need to study the industry. You need to study the sector. Is it environment? Is it governance? If it's reproductive health? Is it about education? Study the environment before you tailor your CV. It's about the quantity achievements. So repackage vague duties with measurable. Don't be vague. Use data and be realistic as much as possible as you're doing building a competitive CV. Highlight leadership. I think I don't need to re-emphasize that. Who have you led? In what committees? In what communities? There's a lot of that, especially as you consider yourself and reposition yourself for the NGO world. Clear and professional structure. And finally, strong achievement statements. I think the world has moved from just listing the tasks that you have done to about achievements in your CV. What have you done? And they need to be quantitative. They need to have percentages. What did you reduce? What data is there going forward? Thank you. Next slide, please. So before and after, so responsible for managing the HR department and handling staff matters. So you need to look at, for instance, and this actually talks more about you need to continue becoming a better version of yourself every month, every 3 months. Ask yourself, what new skills have you learned? What have you upgraded? What have you started doing, stopped doing, and continue doing? There are certain things that you have to stop doing for you to grow and reposition yourself in your career within the NGO sector. And some of them I've already actually highlighted. But taking a deeper dive in terms of self-development, self-assessment and self-evaluation, after every couple of months, you need to do a Karura walk, you need to do an arboretum walk, you need to have a meditation walk, you need to have a breakfast with yourself and start asking yourself, what do I need to stop doing, continue doing, and start doing that you're not doing? Next slide, please. So there's, of course, LinkedIn and personal branding. You've got, if you're not on LinkedIn and you've not optimized your LinkedIn, then you don't exist. Indeed, what happens nowadays, when you have applied for a job and you're being shortlisted, the recruiters actually go to your LinkedIn and they even look at the connections. I've been approached by people who have applied for jobs asking, do you know this person? Even before the interview. So you need to ensure that you have branded yourself properly in terms of your profile, the photo which is there. Make sure that the photo which is there, it is the right kind of photo. You should not have a photo where you have a t-shirt, imeandikwa sengenge ni ng'ombe, hapo, and then somebody is actually doing a social media branding. Get the best photo. Get somebody actually to help you to do that. Engage professionally in terms of your posting. Please don't have dramas. Professionals should not have dramas on the social media. The moment you start have branding, people know that in case I touch this person, ni vita, ni gossip, ni toxic energy. So the posts which will be there, the liking, no argumentative issues on the social media. So share insights regularly. Talk about it. There are so many trends actually which are there. People want to see whether you make contributions about certain topics there. Strengthen also your visibility. Talk about what you're doing for the society. Yeah. Even if yet you're not in the NGO world and you could be in the profit-making world, talk about what you over the weekend, how you went to mentor young people, how you volunteered in a particular board within the community. That can actually work very well. I know a couple of people who actually have come from the non-profit-making world, profit-making to the NGO sector, and how they started is by doing some of these things, working in the communities, and doing certain things in the community and volunteering. And that actually takes them miles. Thank you. Need to go very fast now. And Esther, feel free to. So networking for career growth. Remember about professional associations. Find time to go for those particular events. Look at where the NGO world people are meeting. Tag around. Be a speaker. Even come and tell Paul, I want to be a speaker about duty of care. I think I can see Dr. Karuri is here. And you start engaging. I want to do what? I want to, for instance, to sponsor a particular activity. Last week we were in Fika and we were doing some CSR. Be there for conferences and webinars, alumni networks, volunteer opportunities, and also make sure that also you have mentors even from the NGO sector and for certain careers. That will be good. Go for it. Next slide, please. I'll go faster. So, of course, there's a role of mentorship. Mentors play a transformative role in the NGO career. Allow me to read this one. Mentors play a transformative role in the NGO career growth. They provide guidance through complex sector dynamics, faster accountability in your professional journey, share invaluable industry insight, and open doors to influential networks. You'll never go wrong with having mentors in your life. The best investment you can make in your NGO career is finding a mentor who has walked the path you aspire to walk. They don't just open doors, they help you become someone worthy of walking through them. So mentors actually can do that. Next slide, please. So you can actually prepare for the interviews. I don't think I need to talk about that. I think I've mentioned that. So I think in a nutshell, those are some of the practices that I would say, and I just want to talk about some of the mistakes that people make. Generic and tailored applications, weak or absent professional networking, poor interview preparation, lack of evidence of impact or results, and then the best practices about tailor making, building and nurturing a professional network, researching quantity achievements, and aligning your profiles with the NGO mission. I think I want to stop there. I think I've been able to give the kind of justice which needs to be given, and also for the interest of time. And after I can see some of the questions which actually are coming there. So I just want to take it back to Esther, also for the interest of time. Thank you so much. Back to you, Esther.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. I am sure the audience will tell me, let Paul finish. Please, Paul, finish.
I continue. Okay,
please
fantastic.
do. Please do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's go ahead. Okay, the future skills for NGO. The future, and it's even actually now, what to look for, harnessing data. In case you speak to any of my team members, you'll think actually maybe my first degree was about data. It's because, or even in terms of monitoring and evaluation, is because the now and the future is about data analytics. So harnessing data to drive program decision is quite important. So measuring impact, you've got to measure impact. And you've got to start where you are now. You have to ensure that the language that you are talking is about digital competency. You have to talk about adaptive leadership, navigating complexity and uncertainty. The world is becoming more complex. Human behavior is becoming quite complex. Can you find clarity in complexity? When even the situation is so complex, do you give up quickly? Are you the kind of a person who gives very quickly? Very, very quickly. Leadership has changed to adaptation. It's about artificial intelligence literacy. More than ever, you've got to enroll for these particular courses. You make your reports easy, faster, and you get your sources faster. The more even you're able to navigate to different AI tools, even much better. Fundraise, and it's no longer a situation whereby you can say, Miss Pendagi CV2 is in the agencies. In fact, in case nowadays you look at my group and my network, and Esther is aware, I walk around actually agencies in terms of the reverse mentorship, and they teach you so much. They actually first, they make sure that your decision making is actually full of data and you move quickly. Fundraising and resource mobilization is quite important. They even ask yourself, as you enter in the NGO, they ask you, can you fundraise? Can you resource mobilize? Can you help us in this particular case? So it cannot actually be one particular area. So when it comes also to partnership and development, it's the same thing. You've got to partner. You've got to partner with the people. It's got to be that particular area in terms of the future of the NGOs. The next slide, please. So recruiters' insight, what makes a successful candidate? First of all, bringing employees along the path. So the most successful NGO candidates combine technical competence with strong character. We always look for professionals who demonstrate measurable results, always uphold integrity. For us, integrity is quite key. People work under pressure, and we always even bring scenarios about you under pressure because there's a lot to do. Sometimes you've got to travel and you've got to do certain things within a very, very short time. Skills that you can be trained. Are you the kind of person who can be, are you trainable? Are you coachable? Are you like a sponge that you can actually soak in knowledge? We rather look for people actually who can teach than the people actually remain rigid. So what do NGOs recruiters consistently look for? 9 out of 10 NGO recruiters cite alignment with organization values as the top hiring criteria above technical qualifications. So remember about alignment. The values that we have, that's top for us. So there'll be questions about your culture fit as you join the organization. Next slide, please. So career reposition roadmap is a 90-day action plan. And normally it starts from assessing your strength. That's the first step. What strengths do you have? If you don't have certain competence and strength, You need to go and buy those particular strengths, or borrow, learn, or even go and look for a mentor. So assess your strengths. Where are you weak? Remember those things that I've mentioned. So your 90 days plan needs to look at assessment. Number one, assess your strength. Second, identify your gaps. What are you missing? Project management, AI, are you missing? In case you look at those particular job descriptions, what are you missing? And then start studying those particular skills early. And nowadays, there are short courses, online courses, there are mentors, and there are coaches who will teach you quickly. And then number three is about build those particular skills and certification. I think I've talked about that. Start building. Remember the assessment, self-awareness. Number two, identify what you're lacking in terms of the skills. And then number three, you start now building those skills. And don't wait for the organization to do always for you, because a career is your responsibility. And then number four, gain sector exposure. Start getting the sector exposure. Get to know when these conversations are happening. Start going there for these particular conversations. Start looking for these particular individuals wherever they are. Search for them. Expand your networks. If you find yourself only working with finance people, look for people who are doing program management, people who are good in IAI, people who are doing in procurement. Start engaging in those particular conversations. There's something which is called inbreeding. That's where you only associate yourself with people from the same professions. I always advocate for diversity and expansion of your networks. And then launch a 90-day action plan, for yourself. What are you going to do within the next 90 days? Those particular days needs to be taken very seriously as you implement these particular strategies, and then apply these things strategically. At the end of the 90 days, you'll be somebody different in case you want to position yourself. Next slide, please. So my key takeaways today is about position yourself strategically, know your strengths, target the right roles, start targeting the right roles, go to LinkedIn, look at various websites, communicate impact clearly. As even if you're called upon for a conversation, speak with impact, speak with data, speak with metrics. Don't be vague. Don't just give stories. That's the beginning of a story. You can go for one meeting and people can actually start searching for you. I know some people who actually have been searched because they have been able to speak in meetings. They'll be able to say, oh, if that is a guy, he was able to give the data in this particular meeting, I can actually invite that person to our organization. NGOs also are looking for people who also actually have social enterprise. They have an entrepreneurial mind, and it's because of reduction of cost, about sustainability. You're looking at somebody who is thinking from a business perspective, who has a business acumen, because they know when you come to the organization, you'll not just be spending and spending. You'll be asking yourself, are the resources that we have scalable? Can they be also be sustainable? It's about investing continuously in your professional growth every couple of weeks, months. How have you upgraded yourself? Your NGO career is yours to shape it. Act with intention. You've got to be intentional always. And you can see the word here is lead with integrity. Keep on practicing integrity. Go to groups where integrity is practiced, accountability is practiced, even for small amounts of money, and commit yourself to impact. And that's my engagement with you. Thank you so much, and thank you for your attention. Over to you, Esther.
Wow. Thank you, Paul. Oh, amazing. I think you have prepared very many people in this call for their next interview. You have done that for free. Let's appreciate Paul. Thank you, Norbert, for setting the pace. Let's appreciate. Paul has given what we need to hear without reserving anything. You're a true mentor. And I saw someone asking, and I wanted to ask you, do you prepare people for NGO interviews? I know many will be coming to. Please, Paul, share your contacts as we go through the questions, your LinkedIn profile, so that the people on the call can reach out to you. If you're prepared by Paul that way, and you do not get the job, you're the problem. You must be the problem. If Paul invests in you that much and you don't get that job, you'll be the problem. Now, I want to go to the questions here. There's Paul checks that out for us. Is there demand function of supply chain in NGO, e.g. supervisory level, under inventory, warehouse, and logistics sectors? You're muted.
Esther,
Good. Yes.
repeat the question again, please.
Is there demand function of supply chain in NGO, that is supervisory level, under inventory, warehouse, and logistics sectors?
Yes, there's a lot of demand. Remember, I talked about procurement. I think I should have added also supply chain, because that could be a difference. And there's there are NGOs also which are very heavy in terms of logistics. There's a lot of transportation, maybe of different equipment from one either area to another. They work in the field. I've worked on an organization which has which was working heavily in the field. So a lot of transportation, a lot of supply chain, and there's a lot which happens also in terms of the supply chain. So I think what is important is to understand what does it mean in terms of supply chain within the NGO sector. So that's why I was talking about the importance of getting the sector-wide exposure and in terms of the research. Thanks.
Thank you. Collins, I see your hand. Kindly, unless it's on the same question, I'll advise that we do the questions and then I come back to you. Is that okay, Collins? Or it's on the same...
Okay. I think that's okay. Mine was a different question, so maybe could handle that first.
Handle that later. Yes, thank you. Paul, I saw this coming. Do you support CV reviews, LinkedIn optimization, etc.? What are the charges? I think Wanjugu, Paul has shared the contracts, right?
Yes, I think I have.
Kindly reach out to him. I think that would be the best we can do. I don't know why I'm not now able to see my what has happened. And I don't know what has happened. Okay, I'm back. No, but highlighting leadership. What is the scope of leadership you capture while having leadership conversations? Can you include cattle dip chairman position held in the village? No, but you had to ask this one. There's no bad question, and it's a leadership position in the community, especially if the NGO is also dealing with animals and that. Paul, over to you. It's a valid question.
Thank you. So that's a good one. Any leadership to me is leadership. I have come to realize that first of all, of course, as you know, leadership starts from yourself. If you can't lead yourself, you can't lead anyone, and you'll be tested. You actually get tested enough from even when you are asked whether there is someone who can vote, move a vote of thanks. How many people normally volunteer to say, I can raise up my hand? That's leadership. And you get noticed from small things, very small things, how you even offer prayers at the beginning of the session, how you can offer yourself even to coordinate a session. Esther can ask you, can somebody help me to run the slides? That's leadership. It looks small, but you actually learn on how you can coordinate small things. In your own, this is an example that I always give. Have you ever gone back to your village, ever since you came to Nairobi, to go and speak to high school, to any high school? Do even people know you in the village for anything that you do? Either in your local church, in your primary school, in your high school, in that CBU? Have you even gone and say, I want to mobilize people to plant trees? Is that kettle deep? Does it have a chairman? If it doesn't have, can you actually volunteer to go? You may not even know anything about animal husbandry and veterinary, but you can actually go and organize that community in terms of the leadership. It may be on the budget management. It is about from the small things that you do that you get noticed and you practice leadership. Never wait for a time that you will be told, now you are a managing director, a country director, and you start practicing leadership. It's for actually those particular small things that you do. Remember what actually John Maxwell says in 360 degrees leadership? Lead from where you are. For where you are, lead. You get noticed by the small things that you do. Where there's impact, there's a leader, and that leader is you. Start now.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that. Hi, Paul. How do you maneuver bureaucracy in the NGO space?
Very good. Thank you. One of the things that I've learned in life is about, and for those people who may have done MBA, there are certain units where it's called about alignment. Before a meeting begins, how have you aligned yourself? And sometimes actually a meeting inaishaga bila haijaanza, depending on how you have aligned. If you just go to a meeting expecting for decision to be done in that meeting, then you're in the wrong meeting. You need to ensure that you've talked to the right, in fact, you talk to the troublemakers before the meeting because they'll support your idea, because they can go and shoot it down. So you need to freeze your ego before the meeting so that your idea can flourish. Otherwise, it will be so much bureaucracy everywhere. And I have realized in my life, I always actually work with the most difficult people when I want my idea to freeze. In fact, I make them their champions of that idea. And that in that way, you're able to cut actually the bureaucracy. So it's about alignment, political alignment sometimes. Politics is everywhere. And you need to ensure that actually you practice it in terms of alignment. And that cuts the bureaucracy. Bureaucracy sometimes is enhanced when you don't become an enabler and you become on saying that, what does the policy keep on saying? Umesikia vile policy inasema? So kila saa, so the question is that, are you an enabler? One of the things that I always ask my team members is that there is a particular problem which needs to be sorted out. I know there are 1,000,001 policies, but one of the things that you need to do is to create an enabling environment. Are you an enabler? Champion that, and your things will sail through. A finance person will come and say, I know the policy says that, but there are various scenarios of ensuring that we deliver immediately. And those things, by the way, this is just a buzzword about bureaucracy. It's because of alignment. It's about ensuring that you practice interpersonal skills. Speak to people, love people, buy people coffee, buy people pizza. They'll pass your idea with speed. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Pizzas. You owe me coffee, Paul. Very insightful from Dr. Karori. Informative and thought-provoking conversations. Thank you, Paul. And someone here is asking you, Paul, is there a way you can support a friend who was thrown out of NGO job by USAID crackdown to bounce back? It has been hard.
Yeah, we have, we love ourselves, I think, a lot, and that's that I know you complain about. we, as the chair of the NGO, one of the things that I created, especially when we had that cut, because some of us also affected, we created different platforms. One of the platform was is called an NGO HR job board. We post job for each other kwanza, mnasaidiana huko. So you see why power of networking. So and then first of all we say kama kuna mtu akona job unatuma huko. However, you realize that there are certain jobs which are not HR related. They finance, their procurement, and we post them there. And then you tell people, if it is one of your relatives and your friend who knows they can match this job, please forward them to this one. But in terms of HR, kwanza tunajisort ndani. You see, it's very important to ensure that also you take care of it. In fact, I'm a very big advocate of there are some people who are affected by the NGO cuts, bring all those jobs to this particular platform, and encourage them actually to apply. There are others like procurement and finance. We ensure that also we share with our relatives, our friends, and people don't have. So yes, there's one, and I'm happy to in case there could be, I don't know what the background, I'm happy to link you. I know there's actually a particular platform which is led by one of my friends with the NGO sector, which is a job board. I'm happy to ensure that that person is enrolled there so that you can be receiving the jobs there. Thank you.
Good, good. Paul has shared his number. Please reach out to him. He is the most accessible person. The CEO that you send a message to and they respond. You know, he had a meeting before this and I said, you better make it. When Parliament calls you for a meeting, I know what happens. Sometimes I was even amazed that you managed through the meeting, but thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
UN currently is opening up a few roles. Keep visiting the website for jobs. You may be lucky. That's from someone there. And Paul has also shared his link for LinkedIn. Please go and have a chat with him. Collins, your hand was up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. It's always insightful hearing Paul speak. I've had a couple of sessions whereby he has had, or rather where he spoke, and I can attest that it's been very insightful. So, rather, my question was partially answered actually in the bureaucracy part, whereby you find an organization that always preaches about agility, let's be agile, but at the same time, there are a lot of bureaucracies, policy processes, and at the same time, you want to deliver. So maybe the other issue will be, there is something interesting that Paul said, and it was a bit nikakwama kidogo, because I found it so interesting, the fact that there's a statement he said, in a world of complexities, always be the clarity. And in the space that I've had a lot of employee grievances and employee-related disciplinary cases. So, Paul, how do you handle such kind of issues, especially in NGO? And are they as common as I'm currently in a consultancy? Are they as common as in the area that I am currently? And how do you deal with all manner of emotions? You find employees pulling emotional cards, others pulling, knowledge-based understanding of issues, and being in a world whereby employees are constantly being aware of their rights and all that. How do you maneuver in an NGO setup, and even extensively? Because I believe you've been in other space as well. I think I would love to pick your mind on that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You're so much right, Collins, and thank you so much for your kind words. Thank you. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate. Definitely in any community, there are emotions, and the emotions can be triggered. Sorry. Okay. Emotions can be triggered by different things. We are living sometimes in situations which have a lot of economic hardships. We are living in situations which are, for instance, in case you look at the lives of most parents at this time where there are so many school unrests, they may not be in the same shape. They keep thinking about what's happening to my child, and they are home sometimes. You keep on wondering. So that also could be another trigger. So there are very many triggers. And all these particular triggers affect employees. And these employees come to work every day. So when they come to work, because there's no difference between home and you can't say, those emotions wacha nyumbani, ukija job, wachana na mimi. Some of the things that I've always stayed, in case you look at performance management, for instance, I'm one of the advocates of conversations every time. It needs to be a culture. It needs to be fun. Don't surprise people. Let people surprise themselves. So in this particular case, before you have a performance management conversation, even ask people, how are you? And not just by just asking, how are you, so that it's a nice thing. Go a little bit deeper to ask people how they are. You may be surprised by the change of their perspective, in the fact that they'll feel that you care, you have empathy and compassion. That can change their perspective, even about their performance. I'll give you an interesting example. I used to work with an individual who everybody used to say was moody, was difficult. And then one time I was like, so I used to start by asking, I started asking, how are you? And I came to realize by having a conversation, the person was the only sole breadwinner and was supporting a child who had heart disease. And that was taking a lot of the money. So what I told her, I'll try to get a funder, a donor from another organization. So I was able to get somebody who was able to sort that person out. So by that, there was a different perspective. There are certain things that sometimes you care and they change the perspective. Secondly, and this is quite important in terms of complexity. However, there are certain things which needs to be to ensure that we have difficult conversation. They could be performance related. They could be toxic related. You need to face them head on. You need to have conversations about what you are doing has an impact on your team. Yesterday you came late. This week you've been late for 4 times. That means tasks are delayed to be handled. And therefore that's affecting the entire organization. Document it and send it on email. They'll see that you're serious. Next time when that appears again is that, remember we had this discussion and this keeps on repeating itself. Don't fear as a leader to go now the other way in terms of now a human resource conversation. These things keep on changing because there are certain people who test you. They test your resilience. They test whether you can have difficult conversation. The more sometimes I realize I'm having firm and difficult conversation and tough feedback and tough love, the more actually I've seen people changing in terms of their careers. And they change because they know you don't have any ill motive, but you actually want them to change. So 2, empathy, where it's needed, it can change the perspective. 2, hard, difficult, tough love has changed lives. Thank you.
Oh, great.
Thanks, Paul. That was really good.
Thanks. Collins, anyone else who would wish to unmute and ask a question? I saw something there from Jacob on getting into the NGO world is very hard, especially mid-career stage. The job adverts need prior experience in the NGO sector. How can you assist someone to transit from corporate to NGO? When is your next mentorship cohort? I would like to join ASAP. Now, please, Paul, as you answer this, tell us about the mentorship you do. I know you do a lot of mentorship. You have picked the young and energetic, and you're doing a great job with them. Congratulations. So tell us as you answer, Jacob.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Indeed, I do a lot of mentoring. Mentoring is a gift for me. It's a calling. I do it a lot. I do anytime. I find opportunities to do it, and therefore it's something that you can contact me, and we can have a conversation about that. So feel free to contact me. And I think the other question is about getting to the NGO. It's very hard, especially mid-career. It's not hard. I started my career from the banking sector, and I went straight to the NGO world, and it's because of some of those particular tips. Expand your networking, find out where those conversations are, research, and I think there's somebody even has taken posting on where those particular jobs are. Start early by exposing yourself. I think I've dropped some of those particular tips. Yeah, and you'll be there. Don't start with that particular mindset that things are hard. No, I don't think they are. They'll be easy. And in case you find me, I'll let you know how I've been able to find myself and navigate even tough challenges. And you'll be able to get those conversations and platforms. It is all doable. It can be done, and you can do it.
Great. Anyone else with a question? I don't want anyone to say Esther locked me out. We have been doing a series on Meet the Recruiter And this is our last session on that series. And people had asked for this conversation on NGOs. So we got you the best. We got you the chair. So does anyone else have something to say? You can raise your hand before we come to a close. As we wait, yes, as you unmute, we will be uploading this on our YouTube channel tonight. I think in the next 30 minutes. I've shared our link for YouTube Conversations with Esther. Please make sure you go there. You can watch this and other sessions that we've had on the YouTube. We also pinning our upcoming training next week on navigating employment and labor relations laws, which will be in Machakos. So check on the chat. Yes, someone's hand was up. Unmute. You can unmute and just.
Hi, Esther.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Very well.
Okay. Owen here. So,
Right.
hi, Paul. Nice to hear from you. I just wanted to I have only one question. So, in the NGO space, from my own experience, you find that as a leader, you need a lot of emotional intelligence while leading a team. So, how do you maneuver if you're operating under someone you feel they do not have emotional intelligence?
I think that's a good question. And I'm sure quite a number of us have worked with leaders sometimes that you think are not the best. And sometimes you think are bad bosses. And sometimes there are always the temptations that I need to quit until you realize, is there something that you can do either to adapt or to be resilient or even to change them? So the first question you need to ask yourself is, and remember what I talked about is that do a situation analysis, assess your strengths, and ask yourself, how can you adapt? Remember, there's something about adaptable leadership. And adaptable leadership is, how can you remain calm even in the face of so many challenges? How can you reframe a certain toxic statement which has come from a leader and to make it positive? And the person will take it well. How can you freeze your ego so that your leader can keep on taking the credit? You need to remember, it's not all the leaders who are secure. There are some leaders who are insecure. There are some leaders, when they see how graceful you are, they will not like it. So how do you shift that to their advantage? How do you make your boss shine? Because sometimes they may feel any idea that you want to project is a revelation of your insecurity. So how can you make it the idea? The more you make it the idea, the more you free yourself. The more you free yourself, because sometimes it may be you who do not understand how to work with your boss. It may be you. So how can you change yourself? What are those things that you need to start doing, stop doing, or continue doing, so that also you can fit within the leadership ladder? That possibly by you managing your boss, who you think sometimes does not have emotional intelligence, is a masterclass in resilience. Because resilience is never taught, it's experienced. Thank you.
Yeah, unically. Here's your ego. Hey, Paul, you've said that many times. Good. Amazing, amazing. Anyone? I think we need to close. Our time is much spent, and I see Paul is still locked in the office. And we are possibly also locking a few other people with Paul in the office because they can't lock the CEO there. Thank you, thank you, Collins, for that. Please reach out to Paul. His number is on the chat. I will leave everything up so that you can scroll down for his number for a few minutes once we are done. But that said, thank you, Paul. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the information, the wealth of information. Thank you for sharing your heart. You're a true mentor, and we admire you, we respect you, and we are proud of you. Very, very proud of you. Asante sana. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. God bless you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you all.